One of the most closely followed races is that for U.S. Senate. Marco Rubio is a Republican frontrunner, and he's been in the headlines for welcoming President Obama to Florida yesterday with some kind of harsh words. Good morning to you, Marco Rubio. Yeah, you said that America is headed, I'm going to quote you here, to a Greece-like day of reckoning if something's not done about the financial situation. Do you really believe that we might be headed downhill?
Well, there's no doubt our government spends more money than it takes in. Our debt is unsustainable. Even President Obama's own advisors are saying that. And something has to be done about it. We sell debt. This country sells bonds out on the market. And increasingly people are going to start to get nervous about our ability to pay it back. Our interest rates are going to go up on it. None of this is disputed. I think even the administration would admit that the debt is unsustainable. Unfortunately, no one in Washington has a real plan on how to solve it.
Well, I agree with you that this is not disputed, but to compare America to Greece, I mean,
well, that's how
totally
Greece got in trouble. Well, Greece got in trouble because people didn't believe they had the ability to pay back their debt, and they were unable to continue to sell debt. America's headed down that road. And again, that terminology of a Greece-like day of reckoning means basically your government reaches a point where no one wants to buy your debt. And if they are willing to buy it at much higher rates of return, higher interest rates, which is bad for our economy. And we actually would have to start borrowing money just to pay the interest.
What do you think America needs to do to get on the right track financially?
Two things. It needs, number one, rapid growth in our economy, which means that government, Washington, D.C., has to stop injecting uncertainty into the economy with threats of higher taxes, energy taxes, this health care bill, card check, cap and trade, etc. The second thing that needs to happen, and they both need to happen, is we need some fiscal spending constraint in Washington, D.C. That means a balanced budget amendment. That means banning the practice of earmarks. These things have to happen, and they both have to happen. It can't be one and not the other. They must both happen. A combination of rapid economic growth and fiscal constraint at the federal level.
Many people would say also that we are heavily involved in two wars, although one of them, it seems like, may be winding down. I want to ask your thoughts about Iraq. The last combat brigade, U.S. combat brigade, just left Iraq. Only about, what, 50,000 more U.S. troops in that country.
Yeah.
Do you believe that that was the right move for this country and for Iraq?
Well, I think obviously the people on the ground are making that determination. It wasn't some arbitrary deadline that happened because slowly but surely Iraq and that government is able to control its own security. And it's an important reminder that Harry Reid, the Democratic leader of the Senate, just a few years ago said the war in Iraq had been lost. Well, he was wrong. We need to be grateful that President Bush, together with General Petraeus, led that surge effort, which has led to the success, and we hope now to have the same success in Afghanistan.
Do you worry, however, that maybe the powers that be in that region, meaning Iran, may overtake the balance of power that America helped create in Iraq?
Well, obviously we have to keep an eye on that, and America's going to have a continuing involvement. Obviously, Iraq is going to be our ally in the region. We hope it'll grow to be a strong and stable nation state, and that's why the Iran problem is so serious and why they must be contained. And that's why U.S. policy towards Iran has to be a priority in our foreign policy issues that we're looking at.
As for Afghanistan, would you vote on bills that come up in Congress to continue funding that war there? That war,
first of all, it's not a war of choice. It's not something we wish had happened. We wish that conflict had ended long ago. But even President Obama campaigned on the notion that Afghanistan was a place we had to win. And I agree it's a place we have to win. I disagree with the president, however, on his timetable that he's established, and I agree with General Petraeus. We shouldn't have an artificial timetable. We should be providing security in Afghanistan so that that nation can take over its own role, like you see happen in Iraq. That's what we want to see happen in Afghanistan.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, would agree with you, but then you think about the toll this is taking on American families.
It is, and I know it's tragic and painful. No one likes war. There's nothing pleasant about it. On the other hand, if we lose in Afghanistan, if in fact the Taliban is able to take control of that country again, it will once again become a haven for al-Qaeda, and it will become a sphere of influence for Iran, and that's even worse.
Let's talk about a poll. I know no politician likes polls. You have told me that before last time I interviewed with you. A new Quinnipiac poll shows that if Kendrick Meek will beat Jeff Green. They're saying 35% to 28%. If Meek wins, a lot of people believe that the Democrat vote will be split between Meek and Crist and that you will win. And then Mike Thomas with the Orlando Sentinel, he's a columnist, said Rubio will win. He'll be an instant star in the Senate, and then he'll be on the short list for vice president.
Well,
what?
No.
Has anybody talked to you about that yet?
No, and I haven't talked to my wife either. And look, I think this race is a pretty simple choice. If you like the way things are going in Washington, if you agree with the direction this administration and Congress is taking America, there are going to be two other people running, Charlie Crist and whoever the Democratic nominee is, and you should vote for one of them. But if you don't like the way things are going in Washington, if you believe they're heading us in the wrong direction, I'm the only one running that will go to Washington and act as a check and balance on the direction that leadership is taking our country.
All right, Marco Rubio running for U.S. Senate. Thank you so much, Marco. Nice to talk to you again.
Likewise. Thank you.